right? Okay. Did I not? Did I forget to fix that? Adjust that. Okay, sure. There, better. Maybe. Sure. Let's call that good. Hi, hi. I'm Sean, librarian writer geek. Here again. Once again, it's Friday. Friday, so we're streaming. Bookkeeping, right? Librarian writer geek on angle. Yes. On Twitch and YouTube. YouTube, if you want to watch me live, watch me on Twitch. If you want to, if you don't care, please watch on YouTube because, like, yeah, watching archived stuff on Twitch doesn't do anything. It doesn't help me in any way, shape, or form. So watch it on YouTube where views actually like that actually matter. Here is my personal website. I have not updated it in a couple weeks. I've been meaning to. I'm kind of torn between on what exactly to post because the last 3 weeks have been really crazy, and not just for me personally, but just in general. And here's my Blue Sky name, account handle. I think I'm also as librarian writer geek. I have apparently I found out that apparently you can, if you have a website, you can use that as your Blue Sky account name. I might try doing that. If it's possible for me to switch from this mess that is this into just, here, this is my Blue Sky handle. Maybe. Hopefully it'll be good branding, maybe, I guess. Anyway, okay. So last week I said we'd be starting Dragon Age 2. If you're watching, wherever you're watching this, you can no doubt tell that I apparently lied. That, not 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 intentionally, at the, like so many things. So many things. I had every intention of playing Dragon Age 2 this week. When I said that, then some other stuff happened. So I guess for one, I guess honestly, the big part of it's I've kind of wanted to do another one of these little flip through review tabletop RPG things for a while because those always seem to do pretty well on my for me in terms of views, at least better than my gaming streams. Although, given that Veilguard came out, I should definitely get back on the Dragon Age thing because that's hot right now, probably. Um, but the other thing is that my tabletop gaming group, we recently finished a little thing that was supposed to be pretty short, but it was not. Like, the idea was supposed to be like, okay, yeah, we'll finish this like maybe in October, early October or whatever, and then things kept happening and people couldn't show up, and like not enough people were showing up, or people were just not feeling it or whatever, and it's like, and also this was a game that's like it's let me say this. Okay, I love my players. Love these people. I've been playing with them online for the better part of 8 years now. Like certain, like at least 6+ years, I'd say probably. I don't know exactly, um, but yeah, the game style that this was is just not suited for them, and I think the way that we're now down to like getting in maybe an hour and a half of gaming a week is probably not help. It probably doesn't help. So it's like, yeah, having something that's a little faster paced, or at the very least that where there's you can see progression. Yeah, that would definitely help speed things up probably. That game is just not intended, just not that it's not they don't it does it's not a game style that they all seem to click with, and that's fine. Not everybody clicks with the same games. It's okay. Anyway, we finished up a thing there that was supposed to be fairly short that ended up stretching over several months of sessions. Uh, and now the question came up of, okay, what would you like me to run next? Because looking at the way things are, the way things are kind of scheduling out, that might be in the new year. So yeah, that's gonna be fun. Um, and I posted a bunch of options and haven't gotten a lot of response about any of those yet. Kind of wish I would, especially because I pinged everybody in the Discord and said, hey, here's some stuff I'm thinking about. I could run. Thoughts? And exactly one person mentioned, like, hey, I was looking at Against the Darkmaster, and that sounds really fun. So you know what? I figured, okay, sure, we'll take a look at that this week, and maybe that'll be fun. So yeah, let's do that. And just because somebody mentioned, hey, wow, lot of room noise, blah blah blah, I will put on the headphones and turn on and use that microphone. Okay, okay, calm down. Okay, give me a second. Okay, all right.
Okay, so is there a way for me to change how this looks? Is there a way for me to go? This is not Adobe, this is a different thing. I'm wondering if it's possible for me to like, what does night mode do? I don't understand. I don't understand what night mode does. Okay, wait, hold on. Is that? Oh, so that's what that does. Cool. I would like it if it did something with the sides as well, but apparently it doesn't. So that just turns the background from white to black. Like, okay, let's try here. Yeah, that's not great. Okay. So anyway, against the Darkmaster. So one, I love this piece of art. So okay, I backed this when it was a kick as a Kickstarter. This is another one of those games I helped kickstart. I don't remember the exact dates. Let me see, because they released. Oh wow. Okay, so like 2019, they released a sort of quick start. We'll flip over that. Okay, yeah, they released a quick start demo, and this apparently this piece of art is very reminiscent of the cover of Middle Earth Roleplay, like the really old Lord of the Rings sort of Middle Earth RPG. Like the color scheme is the same. The general pose of several of these characters is the same. It's very fun, very funny. Um, I like that the actual rule book when they eventually released it. This came out in 2020. Again, it is very reminiscent of that. You can definitely see, and obviously this. Well, we'll get to that. So yeah, this is another game I helped to kickstart. So I got a nice copy of it and a bunch of other stuff. Um, I generally really dig the artwork in this just random thing, but I love it. Yeah. Okay, so I think yeah, 2022. So yeah, they've been at this for a little while. Okay. Anyway, so yeah, blah blah blah. Table of contents, etc., etc. There's quite a bit of it. This thing is like, let's see, four. Yeah, there are 500 pages in the single book. Sometime in the past couple of years they released it like an actual two book set. There's a player's book which has all the player stuff, and a GM book which has all the game master stuff. That's great. So, but there is something to be said about having about the one book to run the entire game, and that's all I need. There's a lot of stuff in this one. And tables. Oh gosh, tables. There are so many tables. So many tables in this book. So many. Oh, which is kind of, yeah. We'll be getting into that hopefully soon. All right. Yeah, I'm somewhere in this list. We'll move on. Again, more. A nut. This is obviously a, yeah. Here is, yeah. This is the original. The other art cover in black and white. I actually I like this one a little more actually. I don't know why. I think it's because I feel like the colors on the quick start cover kind of, they kind of what's the word? It, things get kind of fuzzy. Like like some of the face stuff, it gets a little mushy. Whereas, with black and white, it's very, very crisp, and I really like that. It's really, really nice. Uh, we'll start off with a lovely bit of narration. There, lovely bit of narrative. There's some, again, just giving you a feel for what this game is like what the type of thing you're playing with that. Anyway, and actually, let me flip back a little bit. Yeah. All these characters, they are in the quick start, and they are actually at the back of this book. So they are the pre-generated character. They're a group of pre-generated characters that you can actually play as. It's fun. They're very cool. They're very interesting anyway. Okay, great. Okay, so introduction, and here's the thing. Okay, so unlike a lot of unlike many um, fantasy games that come out lately. There's no This one does not have a particular built-in setting. I'm sure I've said that about other games as well, but again, this is one of those. It's like, yeah, there's no specific setting, but this is trying to do epic fantasy, and they list some big ones like, okay, we've got you know, Lord of the Rings, Wheel of Time, Chronicles of Prydain. Um, I've read one of those all the way through and read a good chunk of the second and the third. Well, I've tried it. I feel like if I'd read this Chronicles of Prydain, if I read that when I was like 12 or 13, I definitely would have latched onto that more so. But yeah, just it's so this is not, but they're definitely setting up. I'm gonna double check. Oh, okay, good. Okay, so right, there's no game audio, but there is mic audio. Good, we're getting mic audio. That would have been really embarrassing. I've been talking for like 5 minutes or so without. It would be really embarrassing if I'd been talking for several minutes without you hearing anything. Oh dear. Anyway, but yeah, so the idea with this is that this is you get into some of the themes and stuff and like okay, right. This is about Yes, this is actually epic fantasy. This is not protect. This is not Dungeons and Dragons and that derivative stuff. That stuff can do it. It can do epic stuff, but it can do a lot of other do a lot of other stuff too. And it's worth noting that like a lot of D&D, especially depending on the version, it either lends itself more or less toward more epic heroic stuff or versus like grim gritty type stuff. I don't know. Anyway, but yeah. So yeah, Against the Darkmaster leans heavily into epic stuff, big battles, capital G good versus capital E evil. Yeah, and yeah, you're all part. It's all part of the big cosmic struggle between these forces. But that being said, this is not necessarily a okay. The good guys are the good guys by definitionally, and the bad guys are the bad guys definitionally. It's like no, there's room for there's room for shades of gray in there as well. Well, but ultimately the idea is like, right, you are the heroes and you are fighting against the villains, and that's okay. Yeah, not a game about exploring underground labyrinths and slaying monsters for golden coins. It's a game about becoming heroes by making hard choices, following your passions despite dangers, and standing against evil no matter the cost. Which, given some recent events, I'm not going to say that doesn't hit a point, but well, yeah. And actually, speaking of which, okay, gonna do that and pin that and okay, yes. Okie doke. Sorry, I forgot to do that. Anyway, but other things like okay, so yes, the eponymous Dark Master is basically yeah, the Dark Master is the manifestation of pure evil. Well, but still, and is trying to, whatever, do evil, will destroy the world, conquer the world. It, yeah. We have a Sauron. Exactly the nature of that Sauron is up to it is certainly in flux, but we have a Sauron type enemy where it's like, no, no, the bad guy is evil, just pure evil, no question. Uh, Again, this being kind of epic fantasy in the Tolkien-esque variety, yes, there are ruins and such. It tends to be idea. Generally, the idea is hopefully that there's plenty of wilderness and stuff to go and explore and adventure in. Again, these are some general ideas, general sort things that are kind of built in rules wise, but they don't necessarily things about the world, regardless of the setting. But anyway, um, magic is rare and dangerous. Yeah, magic is rare and dangerous. It's kind of weird. There's a lot of magic and stuff, but chances are that yeah, you're not the average person in whatever your world is probably doesn't encounter magic on a regular basis. It'd be a weird thing. It's not that these powerful people who use magic don't exist. It's that well, yeah, it's it's rare and it comes with dangers. Yeah. the gods, if they exist, are kind of, yeah, they are not so directly involved. So no, there are no clerics calling down the power of their deity to smite the evil unbeliever. If that were the case, well, things would be a lot different, wouldn't they? And once again, yeah, this is a game about heroism and hope. Hope. This is not a grimdark game. Defeating the forces of evil is entirely possible. It might be hard, but you can totally do it. You know, heroes will find there are still people willing to help them, people ready to fight for a good cause. Mm, you know, think Sam's big soliloquy, whatever, at the end of Two Towers. It's like, yeah, there is good in the world, and it's worth fighting for, and that's what this game is about. That's the core ethos of this. Yeah, think and yeah, you might fail, and bad things are going to happen, and there's going to be losses, but if you're real heroes, yeah, when that happens, you still get up. You get back up and you keep fighting. Anyway, we obviously have a number of whole bunch of inspirations. Again, a whole list of books and series and stuff, such. Like I love at the top we have the Witcher books. Definitely cool to do that. We got some more recent stuff with Brandon Sanderson. David Gemmell, I've been meaning to read that. I feel like that should definitely be on my list. George R. Martin, Tolkien, obviously. Yeah. Tolkien, Lloyd Alexander's Chronicles of Prydain, obviously. Some other stuff that I find a little more interesting, like Heralds of Valdemar, The Broken Sword. That is not something I would have expected to see because I feel like not a lot of people. That book does not get. Honestly, Paul Anderson does not get the kind of love I wish he did in fantasy, especially like gaming st related stuff. Anyway, Ted Williams, Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn. Terry Brooks, Sword of Shannara. I should probably try and read more of that. I've read it. The first one is kind of but whatever. Um, Chronicles of Thomas Covenant. I get it. I kind of get why, but I am gonna say that I bounced off that series hard, and not where you'd think I'd bounce off of it. Like I made it into like book three, so the point where most people would probably bounce off of it is in book one. But yeah, I could go into that, but I'm not going to go into that. But anyway, from Earthseed that's a really cool thing to see here. Anyway, movies. Very nice list of movies here. Some favorites. Dragon Slayer. Hell yeah. Love that they even have it out like the VHS. Also, Willow. Sweet. Both versions of Lord of the Rings. Impressive. Star Wars, not surprising. Legend, very cool. Labyrinth, cool. Yeah. And yeah, the Black Cauldron. I guess that's not surprising because we have Chronicles of Prydain up here. So yeah. But also, heavy metal is also an inspiration for this. So it's like it's a weird epic fantasy, heavy metal epic fantasy, and I kind of love it. Like so, yeah. Just here's some classic stuff that you would expect. Let's see, like okay, Motorhead, Man of War. Dio, Judas Priest, Iron Maiden, but also some newer stuff, and I appreciate that because, like, you know, I honestly I feel like more games should really include more tabletop games should include, yeah, here's some music we think kind of helped inspire us and whatnot. Uh, and of course other games. So obviously we have Dungeons and Dragons, the advanced version, fifth edition, but also some other things, like the King Arthur Pendragon. But I think that's from Chaosium. They actually, or that is currently published by Chaosium. They recently released, I want to say, the fifth edition of that. Might take a look at that at some point if I ever did I buy that? I think I bought the starter set for that. I don't think I bought the actual new book. Again, Middle Earth role playing Ryutama, which that's not something I expected to see. Burning Wheel and Mouse Guard, interesting. The One Ring role playing game, that would be, yeah, that's the older version published by Cubicle 7, not the newer version published by Free League. Might take a look at that at some point. And Zweihander, which is gonna be honest, I feel like, yeah, Zweihander is basically I'm pretty sure that is basically the Warhammer, or at least a version of Warhammer Fantasy roleplay, the Warhammer Fantasy role playing game with the serial numbers filed off. Anyway, moving on. Okay, yeah, and yeah, here book one. I believe this is all about, the character building stuff. Okay, so right. Okay, so yeah, there's a whole bunch of stuff. Blah 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 blah. Here this. Okay. So against the Darkmaster uses D100s, which I have some lovely dice. Gifted, I believe these were was this a birthday present, or I think this was a birthday present from my girlfriend. Love you, love to my girlfriend. Mwah. Okay, so if you don't know, D100, that'd be these two dice. You can kind of hopefully see. Well, these are not the dice to show this off with because they're clear. Never mind. Never mind. Let's fish around in here. Can we find a T100? Okay, there's that. That's clear. Oh my gosh, come on. Here we go. Okay, so, right, there's no. Oh my gosh, where is it? Here we go. Okay, so yeah, if you don't know, I don't know why you'd be watching this if you didn't, but yeah, for those who don't know, yeah, D100, in your standard set of dice, you'll have two of these little guys with the 10-sided dice. One of them, hopefully you can see that, has, single digits, and one of them has the tens digits. So yeah, most of the rolls in this game use a D100. We'll be getting into, this is actually a very, against the Dark Master actually uses a very, what I consider to be an interesting twist with the D100 rolls. There's some other rolls as well, D10s, D5s, but there's no other, any roll you make is going to be made with a D10. I got three types of rolls: skill rolls, save rolls, and attack rolls and casting rolls. Though I think, well, sort of four main types of rolls. Okay, uh, there are unmodified and open-ended rolls, which can be applied to those. Unmodified is obviously okay, just a straight roll. An open-ended roll And okay, this is where one of the right things start to get a little weird. Actually, I could have just, yeah, I remember I could have just scrolled down. Yeah, well, though these are just two D10s, so presumably you're picking one to be the ones at singles and one to be the tens. Oops, no, this one ain't right. Maybe. No, no, it's not right because the three can't be there. And the six shouldn't be there. I'm sorry. The art for this is now bothering me because it's like that's not how those dice look. Anyway, okay. So unmodified whatever roll is just a straight roll, but then we have open-ended rolls. This is where things start to get interesting. Apparently, the open-ended rolls are okay if your dice roll on anything between a 96 and a 100. That's all zeros. For those curious, a 100 on a D percentile is all zeros. You cannot roll a zero on a D100. You can only roll, the lowest you can roll is a 1. Uh, anyway, there's much discussion about, I feel like there's way more discussion about that than there should be. Anyway, if you roll a 96 to a 100 on the roll, then you roll again and add the result of the second roll to the first roll, and you continue doing that until you roll a 95 or less. Numbers can potentially get very, very big. Don't worry, there are some restrictions on this. But at the opposite end, if you roll between a 1 and a 5, you roll again and you keep rolling until you roll a 95 or less, and you subtract. You keep subtracting the numbers from what you rolled. So, okay, example, guy rolls a 3 on the roll, so he rolls again, subtracts the new result from the first. Then rolls a 54, so he gets a total result of negative 51. This game is weird. Anyway, but we'll get into what the mechanics of how this gets weird in a bit. All right. Because first we have to do the character creation stuff. All right. And I see 7 steps. Okay. Do your stats, pick your kin and your culture. Again, this is one of those games where they nicely separate out that sort of thing. So it's like, okay, whether you're a human or an elf or a halfling or whatever is distinct from where you grew up. Biology and sociology are not the same thing. That's great. Great. There's a bunch of kit. So, yeah, get your stats. There's 6 of them. Sorry, backing up. Okay, there's 6 stats. We'll get it. Those in a bit. You get your kit. Choose what type, your biology stuff that modifies some of your stats and might actually give you access to certain special and gives you special traits. Then you pick a culture, and your culture gives you skill ranks, as well as basically giving you a selection of what gear to start with. And then finally you get to pick your vocation. So this game does not have classes. Well, it sort of has classes, but not exactly. Your vocation is kind of your class, but like there's no everything is basically skill based. So you can potentially pick up any skill you want, but like your vocation basically is like, okay, you're good at this, so you're gonna be more likely to develop these sets of skills, or it's gonna be easier for you to develop these sets of skills. Yeah, we'll get to there, hopefully. You get then picking background and equipment. Then that's basically most of your choices done right there by step 4. 4, calculate various derived attributes, decide on some passions, and then pick a name. So yeah. Okay. So stats. Beefcake. Sorry. Okay. Again, there's six. Basically the standard six from D&D. They changed the names. I'm not entirely sure why, but whatever. Hold on. Sorry if didn't have the mic attached to my head, you might not have heard that so loudly. Okay. Anyway, six stats are brawn, swiftness. Say brawn. That's physical stuff, melee weapon. Most melee weapons. Actually, yeah, all melee weapons. Swiftness. That's dex, speed, coordination, etc. etc. I think this is for ranged and light weapons. Maybe. I don't know. They say light weapons. I'm not sure if there are any light weapons that do that. Fortitude. This is how tough you are. Tough you are, ability to resist different things. Again, it's Constitution, basically. Wits is, it's how smart you are. If you're a wizard, you're going to want to have high wits. Wisdom, they didn't change. Empathy, intuition, willpower, awareness, etc. This is very good if you are if your vocation is an animist. We'll get to those later. And finally, bearing, which is charisma, essentially. And that's for anybody. That's really important for anybody who does magic stuff but is not either of the other two classes. Or if you do magic and you are not a wizard or an animist, this is probably important. This is going to be important for you. Uh, they provide a couple methods for generating stat. Well, they provide two methods, but it's really kind of three. So yeah, obviously we have roll again, D100 roll, but we created a table for that. That's kind of crazy, but then again, I guess yeah, your abilities, yeah, your stats aren't quite so important. They feed into other things where the numbers get bigger, so it's okay. Alternatively, you can do point buy, where it's basically, okay, you have 50 points, but you have to assign them in groups of five. So I don't know why they don't just give you 20 points and then say, okay, assign those and multiply that by five, whatever. And then they give like a couple of arrays that you can use instead if you just want something really quick. They also give a possible, if you do decide to just roll, and you're like, wow, I rolled really low on like everything, like yeah, I got a bunch of rolls that like nothing's above a 50 or whatnot. So like, okay, you can then roll instead of rolling six times, you can roll 12 times and then pick six results. But this tends to produce some very powerful characters, so that might not be good if you're running the game, depending on how you want to do this. But yeah, that's stats. It's really simple. Okay, all right, and we have kins. As you can see, there's actually quite a few kins. And we have, again, this modifies everything. This modifies your stats, but it also sets things like your base hit points. It sets your maximum hit points. Some of them get extra magic points because they're just naturally magic. There's some saves that might get bonuses to. Uh, and this stuff, which gets very BP is your background points, which is again important and will come up. And then WL is wealth level. So this game doesn't do the wealth level, which is just kind of abstracting the whole you know, money. Yeah. This is not a game where where you have to worry about tracking money. They just say, okay, what's your wealth level? If, depending on your wealth level, can you afford this thing? Yet, and it's a simple yes or no. Again, starting wealth level, or this gives you state your starting wealth level, and you'll notice that some of them are some kins are just generally higher wealth than others, but there's no you can't start with less than a zero, so that's good. Uh, yeah, TSR is toughness save, will WSR is willpower save. That's about yeah. Special traits, right? Okay, right. Special things that for different kins. Okay. I kind of wish they'd done this alphabetically, but I guess I understand why they start with man, which is basically human, but again, this is the sort of Tolkien-esque fantasy, so it's mannish. It's the race of man instead of whatever. Anyway, still nice artwork. Love it. Uh, Humans, your standard human, it doesn't get a lot. Get a little bonus boost to brawn, decent hit points, but where they really shine, as is standard in so many games, is okay, they get 6 background points. And again, we'll hopefully get into background points later. Okay. That's weird. Yeah, I believe, yes. Man, human, whatever you want to call it, starts with the most background points of any kin. This is important later. And again, and of course, gets the special +10 to any skill you want. And all of these have a suggested culture, which for humans is basically okay, any but like these three. You can be fit into any one of them, whatever. High man, not that high. This is like, again, Tolkien, Numenorian type stuff. You know, if you know Tolkien, yeah, this is the Numenorian type guys where it's like, okay, they're human plus for some reason. There's something about them. They're special. Uh, they get a more brawn and fortitude, a little more little touch of bearing. They get a few more hit points, have some kind of natural magic and stuff. Tend to be a little richer overall, but don't get as many background points. But anyway, others I'm just gonna kind of start skimming unless there's something interesting. Dwarf, dwarf is dwarf, big fortitude, big brawn, not so much with the charisma. Halfling, very much not brawny, but very sneaky, not a ton of health, but oddly enough, very good with the willpower resisting stuff. Um, and of course, these one of these special traits for halflings is of course called second breakfast, because of course it is. Uh, Half elves are, yeah, we have them. We kind of because we kind of have to, I guess. Uh, and here's where things kind of start to get interesting. So, okay. Okay, so yeah, there are 3 types of elves, unsurprisingly, but they're not the standard, high elf, wood elf, dark elf stuff. It's a little different. So yeah, first one is silver elves, and these are again, these are elves in the Tolkien-esque sense. So these are like, if you want to go with an analogy from Tolkien, the Silver Elves are the ones who traveled west, but never left the shores of Middle Earth, I guess, is the best way to describe it. And there is some implicit world building here, as much as they try and say like, oh, there's no set there's no default setting for this game. There is some implicit setting again. So like, okay, you know, Star Elves traveled aboard their white vessels through the dividing sea and reached the immortal lands, where they settled and lived alongside other elven kins at the court of the gods themselves. Grew nostalgic for the Middle Lands that once called home, refused to stand along with the Star Elves against the gods. So they sailed back to the Middle Lands and built their majestic cities atop the highest mountains or in the deep forests. Tried to live in peace with other elven kin, blah blah blah. So yeah, there is some implications of what happened. Anyway, but and you might think of this and go, oh well, being an elf is so cool, especially because elves get bonus perception. Elves are immune to disease, resistance to natural cold, don't sleep, ignore some rough terrain issues. There's special types of magic that only elves can use. Those are elven lore and spell songs. But there are some interesting restrictions. And in this case, for silver elves, it's called fair and wise, and that's okay. One of your two highest bearing has to be one of your highest stats. One of your two highest stats, however you're doing it, whether it's point buy or rolling them up, one of your two highest scores has to go into bearing. It has to, because that's just how it is. And also, yeah, you only get three background points, so you don't get to buy as much interesting stuff. Uh, Dusk Elves, these are again going with the Tolkien analogy. These are the elves who lived on the other side of the Misty Mountains, who never really made it all the way to the west, etc. In the lore, these are never traveled to the immortal lands, etc., etc. Uh, these guys, they kind of get the nice benefit. They get some of the same benefits. But let me see, where is it? Immortal, light-footed, sure shot, lithe and graceful. This one I had a thing. Yeah, okay. Uh, Dusk Elves have bearing has to be one of their three highest stats rather than two. And finally, we have the Star Elves, and these are the ones who your bearing has to be their highest stat, period. But these are supposed to be like the Noldor or whatever, the ones who lived in the Undying Lands and then came back because they did some stupid shit. But whatever. Moving on. Uh, Wild folk, who I'm not sure if these are supposed to be human, like a human variant, or if they're like supposed to be something else. It's not entirely clear because yeah, I don't, it's interesting. Yeah, I'm not, but yeah. Orcs. Hey, wow, you can actually play an orc. That's kind of cool. That's actually kind of cool in a game like that. This, especially where like, there's such a kind of built-in, the thing is good versus evil. So, but yeah, sure, you can absolutely play an orc. Why not? And of course, half orcs. but also trolls? Sure. Stone trolls. Okay, sure. Why not? I actually haven't really looked at troll details. Definitely interesting. Ooh, excuse me. Ugh. But yeah, sure. You want to play a giant troll, you can play a giant troll, or right, there's the furbolg thing, which are uh, also giants apparently. But yeah, and again, I have not really looked at them because I can just kind of skip over this stuff. I feel like I don't know. I have to look at them a little bit more. I have to really look at them to get a sense of what they're drawing inspiration from. But anyway, moving on, we have cultures and culture stuff. Yeah, again, we have a table. Yeah, here are all the skills, and here are all the different cultures. And the different cultures give you different, and because, this is sociology, not biology. This is where you were raised. This is where your character grew up. These actually give you skill ranks. They don't give you bonus, they just give you flat out ranks in a skill. And yeah, I wish that there, unfortunately, this is like the only place all this stuff is listed. I wish it was actually listed in the kin descriptions, but whatever. And yeah, hey, here's a nice table to roll up and say, okay, if you want to leave it up to chance, roll a D100 and get picked to have your kin assigned. This does heavily favor rolling a human, or I don't know why it's human here, but man on the thing, but whatever. It heavily favors human. That's yeah, you have like a 45% chance of rolling human, but and then you roll again to get your culture, which, you know, that happened. If you want to try that, it's an interesting option. Anywho, and quick table of here's all basically some pertinent information you'd want like, okay, pick your culture. Here's how this adjusts your wealth level. Well, here is your outfit selection. So like pick one from each row and entries to, give you more ideas, give you more in-depth info. And again, there's quite a few, Arctic city deep, Europe underground, desert Fey for those, uh-huh, Fey hill, noble, pastoral plains, seafaring, Weald and Woad. I'm a little bothered by this. I'm bothered by this because these words both mean the same. Well, okay. Well, thing is, Weald that that's derived from the Old English word for forest, but it's also sorry. It's the name for a region of England that I believe has been so severely deforested that it's just like open plains now. It's like, okay, Woad is. hmm, I feel kind of iffy about this artwork. Just saying that, whatever. And for some reason, they have marauding as a, yeah, maybe don't include this as an option, but at the same time, it is on the tables. And if you're rolling randomly, if you're randomly and you are a half orc or just a regular orc or a stone troll, there is a decent chance, or at least a chance you will roll this, especially orc and stone troll. Like, there's a 30% chance you'd roll this and a 25% chance. And yeah, yeah, I believe, yeah, marauding is, yeah, but again, very nice artwork, nasty, love it. Okay, so again, vocation. So I said earlier, vocation is basically your job, your class, kind of. Vocation gives bonuses to certain skills, might give you access to some spell lores, and does development points, which is how you build out skills. Some classes also get magic points per level, but whatever. Anyway, and again, we have a big table of these 6 different classes and how their bonuses and development points are distributed among the different skills. We can obviously, there's the general categories of skills. We have combat skills, adventuring skills, which, all the outdoorsy type stuff, roguery, which is, being sneaky and noticing things and whatnot, and generally being kind of, yeah. Lore, which is both knowing things and also apparently being able to talk to people and perform stuff. Spell lores, which again only spellcasting folks get stuff there, and body, which is very is well, body, which is basically hit points. That's that's how you increase your hit points in this game is you put ranks in the body skill. That's it. All right. So again, warrior is, and again, all this stuff is again replicated on the entries, unlike for the culture stuff. Why I don't know. It was a decision was made somewhere. Okay, so warrior again, we see a lot of stuff with combat, a lot of stuff with adventuring, potentially putting stuff into roguey stuff, uh, definitely putting stuff into hit points. Nothing, absolutely nothing for lore, at least not without. Um, okay, so yeah, the sorry, so development points are, again, how you level up, you get this many development points, and you can put those in your different skills. Sorry, we're gonna have to skip into talking about this. You can put points into stuff that you don't normally have development points for. So like, but you do it at a price of like 2 to 1. So if we make, say, a warrior, and we say, okay, well, I'd like my warrior to have at least get a rank in charisma, then I'd have to take two DPs from somewhere else, probably from maybe combat, maybe adventuring, maybe whatever. I think, have to take two DPs from somewhere else to get one rank in charisma. So you can go outside your assigned wheelhouse, but it's a little harder to do that. Anyway, rogue rogue again, good with actually decent with it, pretty good with adventuring, but again, focuses on the sneaky stuff and a little bit on combat. Oddly, well, not really that interestingly, because Rogue's probably a little combat focused, more of a second line skirmishy type in general, often. Wizard. Wizard gets nothing in combat, very little in outdoorsy stuff, very little in sneaky stuff, but boy, do they know things. And boy, do they know things, and boy, do they have magic. And it's going to cost you something from those if you ever want to increase your and get more hit points. Yeah. And yeah, here's the list of all the different types of spell lores you can pick from because you don't actually pick individual spells. You pick spell lores, and that's like a list of spells. It's weird. We'll maybe get there eventually. Animist is more of a again. There's no cleric, but there is kind of a druid. But these animists are kind of druidy, sort of. Again, their spells tend to use like focus on like wisdom and whatnot. Um, they actually do get some combat and a little more outdoorsy stuff, a little less focused on knowing things, but still, you know, spells and whatnot. And you can see that a lot their stuff tends, aspects of nature, but also healing and lore of nature and nature's path. And again, it's that they're kind of druids, sort of. The champion is you can think of it as a paladin, you can think of it as a magic knight. I'm inclined it is yeah, I want to be able to swing a sword, but also I want to be good at both swinging a sword and casting spells. Unfortunately, I don't believe any of these uh, spell lores actually deal with doing any kind of direct damage, so it's more like boosting your own abilities through magic. But you know, yeah. And Dabbler, which, as the name implies, does a little bit of everything. I feel like it's dabblers are kind of the bards of this game, but more but sort of in the 5e sense, but also in like the third edition sense, where it's like, yeah, they do third edition and earlier sense, where it's like, yeah, they do a lot of things. They can do a lot of things, and depending on where you want to focus your energies, they can be good at any number of things, but yeah. And yeah, finally we get to again skills. Again, here's a list. Actually, finally we get a full list of the combat skills, which are blunt, blades, range, polearm, and brawl, plus special. And again, there are. This isn't necessarily. These aren't necessary. This isn't necessarily a full list of all the skills, but there are specialty skills which I think might require. These are all the generic skills, I think. And I believe there are specialty skills. Um, okay, yeah, one thing I would skip ahead to check, but this is one thing I do not care for about this PDF. Actually, yeah, if I can make a quick note, yeah, something I don't care about for this PDF and something I wish they had fixed before releasing it, and I downloaded this somewhat recently, so it's like it has been a while and they have not done this. I do wish there were bookmarks. I do wish there were hyperlinks at the beginning. Like, let me see, this is page 71. Okay. Like, you know, this table of contents, I can't click on any of this and do, like, there's no I would expect there to be able to like click on this or click over here and be able to just jump ahead to that point, but I can't. I really wish that was a thing. I really wish they'd done that. It's not that hard. I'm pretty sure, I am absolutely certain it is not that hard to do because I've done it. Okay, I have created an index and linked with stuff and turned it into a P and with PDF and that kind of stuff. So it's not that difficult. I don't understand why we didn't do it, but we didn't do it. Anyway, uh, each, so yeah, you get ranks. So you spend DPs to build, get ranks and skills, and ranks give you both. And yeah, so here's where we start getting into how this system differs. Well, no, not just yet, not quite yet. Okay, so you spend skill point DP, you spend development points DP to get ranks in the skill. And like up to 10, that means you get an extra 5 to that skill for every point, for every rank. And then like for the next 10, it increases by 2, and then after that it increases by 1. So yeah, you can get your bonuses really high, but it's going to take a while after, and especially after the first 10. And also you can only spend like, I think, yeah, you can only, and this is, where was it? Uh, yeah. Also, you obviously get bonuses from your vocation and your kin, as well as item stuff. But those are not ranks. Okay, here it is. Okay, never mind. I know somewhere in here. Yeah, skill progression, maybe. No, I know that somewhere in here they make a note mention that you can only put 2 DP in a skill per level in a single skill. I don't remember where they say that though. I know they say that somewhere, and I know they say it because I looked it up the other day because I was watching a video of like one of the designers walking somebody through making a character. And like somebody had built a character in they built a character in Roll20 for this game, and they were moving over to Foundry. And the guy and was like, okay, well, yeah, you can't put that many points in, you can't put that many ranks in this skill at that level because you can only put 2 in at a time. Anyway, but right, skills. There's a whole list of skills. A whole bunch of skills, getting more into details and modifiers for difficulties of and examples of like what would be something for that difficulty. Da. Spell lores, that's a whole other thing. And yeah, body, yeah. High skill is never rolled during game. Yeah, okay. And yeah. Also, there are specialty skills, which you can pick up, which are not vocations. Those vocational spell lords can develop specialty skills using DPs from the category skill belonging to, gaining 2 ranks in skill for each DP spent. Neat. Other vocations must spend 2 DP for each rank they develop in a specialty skill. Rogue only needs to spend one of his rogue DPs to buy 2 ranks in assassination. Dabbler would have to spend 2 DPs to buy a single rank. That's interesting. And I guess this is a nice way to give a little something back to warriors and rogues, the classes that don't get spells. Anyway, and there's a nice little list of them. Assassination, battle frenzy, craftsmanship, etc., etc. Dual weapon training, quick draw, swashbuckling, stewardship, weapon specialization, etc., etc. These are not necessarily built in, but you could, but hey, maybe if you were interested in doing that kind of thing. Okay, backgrounds. Here's where the number. So backgrounds give you special things and do special things for you, and they come in 2 tiers: minor and major. Minor, I believe, yeah. Okay, except for one. Minor all costs 1 background point, and majors cost 3. So this is where that playing a human and having 6 background points to spend means, hey, wow, you can buy a whole bunch of minor tier ones. You can buy like or you can buy like 1 major one and a couple minor ones, or you can buy 2 major ones, whatever. Everybody else is like, okay, you can maybe get 1 major background and a couple other minor ones. And I think, yeah, this is also the elf thing where it's like, okay, you can buy a single minor tier background or whatever. Yeah, okay, so Dusk Elves get 3 background points, so okay, that's cool. But I think, what was it, like Star Elves, I think only got 1 maybe? I don't know. I feel like there was, anyway. And again, these all do different things for you. They usually give you like, some of them give you a bonus, a circumstance, like an optional bonus to a skill. Some of them just give you a flat bo bonus to some. Okay, you've got Battle Harden gives you just gives you 15 hit points automatically, increases your max hit points, and that's just a single BP. Other ones like okay, Dark Past. You have the ability to cast this one spell once a day without spending any MP or making a roll to cast, assuming you even have that stuff. Uh, yeah. Okay, yeah. Elven training. Hey, yeah, you get access to the Lore of the Ages special trait, like as if you were a silver elf. If you already have it, you get 2 ranks to spend on kin spell lores. That'd be nice. Oh, use swiftness instead of brawn for stat modifier for blade skill if you're using a short sword, long sword, or scimitar. Nice. Exceptional training, get a mentor, 2 ranks in a skill of your choice, other than spell lores, or 5 ranks in a specialty skill. If you take it as a major, which only costs 2 BP, that's nice. You get an item that gives you a +10 modifier to the skill. That's really cool. And mostly I feel like some of this stuff is perfect. Just like Heroic Bloodline is absolutely fodder for storyline. That's absolutely story fodder right there. There, as is Mark of Destiny. That's like obviously. Shape changer, that is definitely an odd one. I'm not sure what, yeah, I'm not sure how that would work. Yeah, uh, okay. And yeah, finally, now we get to various derived attributes. So everybody tends to have a move rate of 15 meters. That's 15 in meters, not in feet. That might be altered by their income, how much stuff you're carrying, or conditions and whatnot. Defense is basically your swiftness, possibly modified by some equipment, like namely shield. Save rolls get interesting because it's like, okay, save rolls is fortitude is your fortitude +5, and along with any kin bonuses. Willpower save is wisdom +5 plus skill bonuses. There will be a filled out sheet in a little bit, so we'll actually get a look at what that means, what that looks like. Total hit points, magic points, etc. Size, I don't know why that's even a thing, but okay. I feel like that, well, maybe, hmm, maybe if you're like a troll or a furbolg, that might mean something, but I feel like even halflings, it doesn't really matter, or at least I don't know why size is a thing. Well, cap on your unarmed attacks. Okay. Starting equipment, yada yada yada, name character, and okay, passions. So yeah, this is not something I've actually really played with, messed around with when I've done my, you know, I've built a bunch of characters in this stuff. It's one of those things I do. Um, I haven't really thought again about passions much. So like, okay, but there's three of them: nature, allegiance, and motivation. Nature type behave in most situations due to inherent instincts, demeanor, ethical, philosophical conviction. Allegiance, loyal to loves, or on the other hand, sworn to destroy. Motivation is what pushes you forward, either goal set, either near future or furthest, personal belief, strong conviction, etc., etc. Sign passion on character, important to prove. Okay, changing passions, obviously they can change. And of course, we include here's some examples of passions, and here is a song to think about that might connect to that if you have a particular, if you want to have a particular emotion to associate with that, because why not? Okay, drive. Uh, okay. Fluctuating value during play can grow. Drive can measure how strongly a character is motivated and how far they would push themselves to get what they're after. Increase by pushing the game forward with your passions. Okay, so yeah, you gain drive by playing into your passions, as mentioned here, just before, as we just got into. But you can then spend drive to get some stuff, or apparently it's like, okay, you can either spend one or you can spend five, and you can only have a max of five. So things you can spend on one is to get a plus 10 for every drive spent. So I guess you can spend multiple drives, but points of drive, but whatever. I guess that's only on that one. Reroll a failed roll with this plus 10 bonus. Reroll a critical strike, right, that you just took. Or impose a minus 10 penalty per drive spent and on a save. Or you can just burn all get maximum drive. Uh-huh. If you have 5 drive, you can then do some stuff. Take any open-ended attack skill or spell roll and basically turn it into a natural 100. Add a plus 20 to a critical strike roll. Ignore penalties from actions or double AoE target range, duration, or base damage of a spell. Nice. Again, and here's all the stuff we just talked about, mentioned. And Heroic Path, I believe this is kind of XP. Spend drive players mark the exact number of points. Oh, okay. Points of drive spent on the Heroic Path track, their character sheet. Each 10 marked on the Heroic Path awards them a milestone. Every 10 points of drive spent during game, you gain a milestone. Okay. Characters use milestones have a revelation, enlightening moment, leading them to learn more about themselves and unlock part of their heroic potential. Important event Hero's Tale can't happen just any time, needs particular conditions to be triggered. Undergoing revelation needs time and peace to reflect, suitably dramatic events to spur, or suitably dramatic moments to spur change. Rest recovered safe haven, da 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 da. Okay. Here's choose one of the follow. Group agrees moment is right. Player can spend a milestone to trigger revelation, choosing one of the following options for the character. Increase the stat by 5 points permanently, gain a plus 10 to body, skill, and increase max hit points by 10, increase MP total by 3, improve an item they're carrying. If they've written a passion about, select the following. That's nice. And of course, we include the option of, okay, here's what we do if you die, because there's no way to bring you back. Character dies, half their heroic path marks rounded up or pass to the next character made by their player for that campaign. Character with 11 marks in heroic path dies. Next character created by the player starts with 6 marks. Okay. And character advancements. Again, real quick. Actually, it's potentially very easy. Well, early levels are presumed seemingly pretty relatively quick. I don't know if it's every 10 XP's gained. Okay, so it's literally just 10. It doesn't it doesn't reset to 0. It's like nope, you advance every time you gain another 10 XP. Okay, and it's awarded every session. So it's another one. It's one of those lovely. Hey, answer the questions, and that gets you a certain amount of XP, which includes basic things like, were you here? Were you here? Congratulations, you automatically get 1 XP. Let's see. So there's achievement list examples. So yeah, we have the if you want to do it based on your vocation, there's options for that lean into like, okay, warrior, did you slay a foe more powerful than you, or you might or bravery solve the most critical situation in the session? Okay, versus wizard, where your cleverly cast spell turned overwhelming odds in your favor, or your academic knowledge granted you an edge in a challenging situation. So, meh, maybe. Or then there's the party-based experience, which is probably what I would go with, where it's like, okay, everybody gets core use the standard campaign, making a good choice for beginners and seasoned players alike. Most achievements are worth single XP, but some have, yeah. Okay. And here's an example that this whole time there has been a example of person creating character, and here's what they do. So we have like the base stats and then kid modifiers to get the total. And we have here's the stats, here's the ranks they eventually end up with in all these different skills. Here's what that bonus translates into. So yeah, having one rank in blades turns into a bonus of five, a +5 bonus, and that ends up with five. I believe, yeah, yeah. There's some other bonuses and stuff like kin bonuses. There's some things that are like you start with a certain number of ranks in a skill, etc., etc. Uh, yeah, they were creating a okay, right, okay, so they were creating a wizard, which is why we had to spend several ranks on multiple on a whole bunch of skills because I took Keeper of Hidden Lore or yeah, this example we picked just a bunch of okay, we picked at least two Keeper of Hidden Lore, two additional ranks in spell lore of his choosing, and magic affinity, which gives you a bonus to spell lore. So I don't know. And then finally, okay, toughness and willpower. So that's fortitude and wisdom scores. Okay, wisdom is a 5, so I feel like that should be higher. I feel like that should be I feel like that should be a 10. I'm not entirely sure. Oh well. And yeah, here it is all filled out on the sheet. And okay. And here's a look at the sheet with here's where all the stuff is laid out and pages to look at. And bear in mind, we're only on page 116. We're we're not even into the actual mechanics yet, which is where shit gets really interesting. But it is about 10:30. I've been going for about an hour and a half, so that means yeah.
Uh, okay. All right. But anyway, so this has been part one, probably, hopefully, of only parts of looking at against the Darkmaster. Next time we'll get into the actual mechanics of stuff. I'm not gonna even get it. I really don't want to get into some of the really lengthy stuff. Like I'm not gonna go into a lot. I don't want to get into like you know, rules for traveling. I don't care right now. I don't care. I don't want to look into that. I don't want to look at I do kind of want to get into combat because combat is where things get really interesting and you really start to see the mechanics of what makes the mechanics of this game so interesting. Yeah, and that's honestly the only thing I'm gonna really want to look into. We're not even gonna get halfway through this book before I say okay, that's before I'm probably gonna say okay, that's good, we're done. So because yeah, there's so much. This book is it's a lot, and I'm sorry, and I spent so much time just kind of flipping through. Yeah, but that's everything you need to know about building a character. That's all the stuff you need to know about character creation, essentially. yeah, so hopefully maybe next time, right, get a look at we'll get a look at the actual how the game actually works and runs, and uh, and maybe after that, that'll be probably next week, if assuming I'm willing to do that, because next Thursday is Thanksgiving here in the U.S. But then maybe on the 6th. I don't know. Hopefully, I don't know how many, I'm hoping. I don't know how many parts this is going to be. Might be certainly 2 parts, possibly 3, because I always want to include like a demo and like, okay, because I'm one of those people who always likes to go, okay, let's take the parts and let's now put the things together. So maybe, going, okay, we're going to take this and we're going to put the stuff together and see how it works. See how it all works, like when in that. Okay, we'll explain the mechanics, and then say, okay, now here's it in action, so you can actually see how the parts connect and work together. Anyway, but that's gonna be it from me for this week. Okay, reminder: Librarian Writer Geek on Twitch and Blue Sky, and not Blue Sky, YouTube. That's the one I meant. Here's where you can find my general stuff, all my links, all my things, my personal website. It's mine. And here's my Blue Sky handle, which might be changing soon. We'll see. I'm probably gonna try and change it, but that's where I am for right now. Hopefully, if it changes, I will change that. Anyway, hope you're having a good one. Take care of each other. Hold close, etc., etc. Yeah. All right. So, bye.